信じられない。
voiceless.
それが真相だというのかい。
はい。私たちは見たままのことをお話ししています。
George folded his arms and started humming again. And the kitchen was once again absorbed by a long silence. I'm gonna reread that. I do not like the way I pronounce kitchen. And the kitchen was once again absorbed by a long silence.
ジョージ様がにわかには信じられない気持ちも私はよくわかります。何しろこの目で確かに見たはずの私ですらあれが何だったのかわからなくなる。私は確かに見た。そして取っ組み合いまでしたはずなんです。なのにあれが全部幻だったような気すらする。
なるほどね。あのローザおばさんに詳しく話せないわけだ。今の話を本当にしてたらもっと面倒なトラブルになっていただろうね。なるほど。源氏さんが随分冷静な対応をしていたのが分かりました。
私にそれを説明するだけの力があればよかったのですが。
George had not actually seen it, so even when pressed to believe, he just couldn't imagine it. It was only natural, because even the people who had actually seen it had ended up questioning themselves as to what it was.
話を少し巻き戻すよ。シャノンはカノン君が偽物かもしれないと思った時、クモの巣を取ってきたと言ったね。
Oh shit, I forgot that I had a business call today. Hold up, let me just... Alright, let's try this again. Let's try this again. My apologies for, doing probably one of the weirdest beginnings to a video, but... Sometimes I get a little bit loopy when I wake up too early. I mean, too late. Yeah.
信じられない。
Voiceless. I woke up at 10 a.m., everyone. I get a little bit loopy when I wake up too late, so I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
それが真相だというのかい。
はい。私たちは見たままのことをお話ししています。
George folded his arms and started humming again. And the kitchen was once again absorbed by a long silence.
ジョージ様がにわかには信じられない気持ちも私はよくわかります。何しろこの目で確かに見たはずの私ですらあれが何だったのかわからなくなる。私は確かに見た。そして取っ組み合いまでしたはずなんです。なのにあれが全部幻だったような気すらする。
なるほどね。あのローザおばさんに詳しく話せないわけだ。今の話を本当にしてたらもっと面倒なトラブルになっていただろうね。なるほど。源氏さんが随分冷静な対応をしていたのが分かりました。
私にそれを説明するだけの力があればよかったのですが。
George had not actually seen it, so even when pressed to believe, he just couldn't imagine it. It was only natural, because even the people who had actually seen it had ended up questioning themselves as to what it was.
話を少し巻き戻すよ。シャノンはカノン君が偽物かもしれないと思った時、クモの巣を取ってきたと言ったね。どうしてそんなことを？
そうだ、それは私も思っていました。どうしてクモの巣だったんです？
前に熊沢さんに聞いたことがあるんです。大昔の六軒島には悪霊が住んでいて、その蜘蛛の巣を恐れたって。それで蜘蛛の巣を魔除けと尊んで大切にしたという昔話があるんだそうです。
As someone who has arachnophobia, even though it does protect, I also am hesitant to use that method.
それでその土佐に私も少し混乱していたんだと思います。
そんな話が。熊沢はそういう昔話に詳しかったな。
雲は液中ですからね。確かにそういう信仰があってもおかしくないかもしれない。
I do agree. Spiders are useful, and I don't want them to disappear. But fuck, man, they terrify me. They really terrify me. I won't go into the reasons why I'm afraid of spiders, but just, I don't like them. I don't like them. Though I know they're important, and I don't want them to all die out. Still,
きっとその悪霊の力をあの鳥居の祠が封じ込めてたんだと思います。そして霊境が割られたので、その力が蘇ってベアトリーチェ様を蘇らせる力となってしまったに違いないのです。私が、心の弱かった私があんな大それたことをしなければ。
シャノン、その話はもうしなくても大丈夫だよ。僕は君を責めたりなんかしない。
Since long ago, Shannon had often hinted at a certain occult aspect regarding how she had met George. While he did lend an ear to his tale, her tales, not his tales. Let me reread that. While he did lend an ear to her tales, George had always thought that this was typical of a girl, associating love with fate, chance, and miracles. George had thought that breaking the spirit mirror offered to the Torii shrine was going a little too far. But he had forgiven her, laughing it off as just a little prank she had done because she seriously desired a relationship with him. Just breaking a mirror in some musty shrine wouldn't change the fate of our meeting. And that would never cause any curse. I remember cheering her up, saying it was only a musty mirror covered in dust.
ベアトリーチェ様という霊のような存在がいるという話は、この島に勤めるようになってからたくさんの同僚に聞かされました。最初はバカバカしいと思っていましたが、それを批判するとなんだか不謹慎そうな空気があったもので、私も表向きは信じているように振る舞っていきました。しかしまさか本当に
いたんです。ベアトリーチェ様はずっとこのお屋敷におられたんです。でもベアトリーチェ様は力を失っておられて、私たちの前に姿を現すことができなかったんです。ずっといた。私たちが見えなかっただけなんです。
源氏さんの意見を聞きたいです。
私には何も意見はありません。
How did I know you were gonna say that?
一つだけ申し上げたいのは、私たちはあの時ここに5人いた。そしてカノンが勝手口から帰ってきたと思った。そして使用人室に運び、 何かが起こって南條先生と熊沢が帰らぬ人となってしまった。それだけです。私たちは見たものをすでに全て説明しました。それを見ていないジョージ様に信じろというのはとても無理な話だと理解しています。
信じられるわけがない。あれは間違いなくカノンさんだと思った。でもあいつがベッドから起き上がって、そうこんな風にしながら胸の傷をまさぐり始めた時、こいつはカノンさんじゃない、誰か別の存在なんだと直感しました。ジョージ様にはわからないでしょう。よく知っていると思っていた人物が実は別人であることをさらけ出した瞬間の恐ろしさというものは説明できない。とても説明できるわけがない。
わかるよ。郷田さんがそれほどまでにショックを受けるどんな恐ろしいことがあったのか、僕は。
ありがとうございます。
Shit, I'm sorry. Ah! Alright, what did he say, George? I understand. I can tell just how dreadful a thing must have happened to cause you such a shock. Thank you very much.
ジョージ様。
And they all went silent again. No matter how many times she was consoled, Shannon kept on crying, weeping that listening to the witch's sweet whispers and breaking the spirit mirror on that day had been where this had all gone wrong.
君に囁いたという魔女はその鏡があると力を失うんだね。
少し説明してくれた気がしますが、よく覚えていません。あの鏡があると力が出せないというようなことを言っていたと思います。
Okay. There's a metaphor going on here. The mirror is a metaphor.
君が割ったというその鏡はどうしたの？
覚えていません。多分割ったまま立ち去りましたから、そのままそこに残ってたでしょう。
ということは岩礁が雷で打たれて消えたとかいう時に海の底か。まあ拾って接着剤で貼り付けたところでご利益は戻らないだろうけどね。
私は本当になんてことを。
ごめん、失言したよ。
He didn't know whether Shannon breaking the mirror had really been what had started everything off. The servants didn't go so far as to blame Shannon, but it seemed that they believed that it had been the trigger. But even now, there was no way George could believe that much. And, yeah, there's something... I don't think the mirror is okay, I think the mirror is more of a metaphor than anything else. Even if he was told a story about witches and evil spirits, it just sounded fake to him. Even so, he listened seriously to Shannon's story, trying to find a hint that might relieve at least a little of the pain in her heart.
そういえばその鳥居にあったものとは違うでしょうが、奥様がお守りとして霊鏡をお持ちになっていると聞いたことがあります。
They're gonna go to the mirror in Natsumi's room. Ah! Get the metaphor. Okay, they're trying to... The mirror is a metaphor to the moment when Shannon had decided to run away from reality and get into the world of fiction. That's the metaphor behind the mirror. The mirror is a metaphor of her breaking away from reality. It's a simple metaphor, but that could be the metaphor behind shattering the mirror. So, the idea that they're gonna try replacing that mirror with Natsume's mirror, that is interesting. It could give some significance in Shannon trying to get back into reality and try to solve her problems without Beatrice. But I don't think this mirror is gonna work. I don't think this new mirror is gonna work because it's not Shannon's mirror. It's Natsume's mirror. Natsume's mirror signifies how she's trying to run away from reality, but she kept the mirror intact because she stayed with reality to the very end of episode 1. So, Shannon trying to, go to Natsume's mirror, I don't think that's gonna work. I don't think that's gonna work because she already tried to escape reality by breaking that mirror. She already broke her ties to reality. So trying to retie it with someone else's tie, I don't think that's gonna work. Trying to replace the ties.
夏日おばさんが？
はい。おじい様の形見分けか何かでもらったものだそうで、とても強い魔除けの力を持つ由緒正しい霊境だとかなんとか。
同じ話は私も聞いたことがある。鏡は良くないものを反射して弾き返す力があるのだとか。
その霊境があれば魔女のベアトリーチェに対抗できるかな。
Dead angle. God damn it. Anyways. When George proposed this, the servants looked up.
祀っていた鳥居と祠はもうないかもしれないけれど、霊境がもう一枚あるのは重要なことだよ。夏日おばさんの実家は神職にも通じていると聞いたことがある。それは本当に単なる鏡ではないかもしれない。
確か奥様は宝物箱に入れて大事にしまっているとおっしゃっていたような気がします。
Oh no, they're gonna try to escape fate by using Natsume's mirror. Oh shit, this is gonna end up horribly.
そんなに大きいものではないのかもしれません。
This is gonna end horribly if I'm correct. I don't think this is gonna work.
大きさの問題ではなかったと思います。私が割った鏡も一見大したことのない小さな鏡に見えました。
相手がオカルトならこちらもオカルトの手段で対抗するしかない。ただこうして座っていても何も解決しない。単なる気休めだとしてもやってみる価値はあるよ。
Of course, this didn't mean that George had accepted the witch. However, he thought it would be necessary to have some kind of purification ceremony to heal the wounds in Shannon's heart. So this story about Natsume's spirit mirror was just what the doctor ordered.
行こう。魔女をやっつけようなんて大それたことは言わないよ。でも魔女から身を守る魔除けがあってもいいと思う。前にマリアちゃんに聞いたんだけど、おじい様の部屋の扉は強力な魔除けが施されているんでしょ。さすがおじい様だね。オカルトに対する防御も十分だったわけだ。行こう。夏日おばさんの部屋へ。
Yeah.
しかし奥様の部屋には鍵がかかっていると思います。マスターキーはローザ様にお返ししてしまいましたし、キーボックスのある使用人室も施錠されてしまいましたし。
ならばその鍵は夏日おばさんが持ち歩いているはず。礼拝堂にはまだ夏日おばさんの遺体があるはずだ。警察が来る前に勝手にいじってしまうのは悪いことだけれど、 それについてはちゃんと説明しよ
しかし礼拝堂の入り口も鍵がかけられております。
う。ゴーダさんの腕力じゃガラス1枚割れないのかい？その辺の石で叩き割ればいい。
大切な礼拝堂の窓を破ってしまってもよろしいのでしょうか。
We have a lot of money. We can replace a window.
おじい様に怒られるときは僕が責任を持つよ。僕はもともと今日後宮家の全員と戦うつもりでいた。君との婚約を許してもらうためにね。だから元よりその覚悟はある。ガラスを割ろう。そして夏日おばさんの遺体から鍵を借りよう。
It seemed that George's claim that he would take responsibility had given the servants a great amount of courage. Shannon and Goda glanced at each other, and then looked at George's face again.
オカルトに詳しいおじい様だもの。夏日おばさんの霊境の力だってきっと理解してくれる。大丈夫。怒られたりなんかしない。
奥様の鏡で本当にベアトリーチェ様をもう一度封じることができるでしょうか。
わからない。でも試す価値はあると思う。なら行こう。表はどんどん暗くなっちゃうよ。急ごう。シャノンは懐中電灯を、ゴーダさんはガラスを割れそうな道具を、ゲンジさんはすみません、傘の用意をお願いします。
はい。
The servants, who had been rejected by Rosa, started to move once again, having gained a new master. I'm gonna say this now, George is kind of being pretty cool right now. He's being pretty cool. George, who was normally calm and gentle, was now exuding a commanding presence. Shannon checked the emergency flashlight. Just in case, she changed the batteries. Goda was examining several heavy-looking cooking tools. Normally, a self-respecting chef like himself wouldn't want to use them for anything other than their intended purpose. But now, he was frantic to fulfill the orders of the one he accepted as his master. After some deliberation, he took a large, weighty frying pan. Genji removed several umbrellas from the umbrella stand set in the corner near the back door of the kitchen. He took 3 of them.
ゲンジさん、
私はご一緒できません。ご用命の時に全員がいないようなことがあっては後ろ宮家使用人頭として恥ずかしいことです。
Damn.
そんな源氏さん、今のこの屋敷で一人でいることがどれだけ危険かあなたもわかるでしょう。
私はいけぬ。親方様からいつお呼び出しがあってもいいように私はここにいなくてはならぬ。
I feel like, oh, Genji, no! Genji, no! He's gonna die!
源氏様、
行ってジョージ様にお仕えするようくれぐれも粗相のないように。ゴーダ、手本となるようよろしく頼む。
はい、お任せください。
必ずやお役目を果たします。
本当にいいんですね、ゲンジさん。
はい、私はもうこの年です。今日までの人生は全て親方様に受けたご恩をお返しするための日々でした。このような老いぼれがどうなろうと全てはルーレットの召しだ。私はどのような結果が出るのかをここに座って見届けたいと思います。
As Genji said that, he sat down, as though saying that he didn't intend to discuss this anymore. His gaze fell to the chessboard that he had played on with Nanjo. When George saw this, he decided to leave Genji there. Man, I feel really bad for Genji. I'm gonna say this now, I feel super bad for Genji. He's actually a really cool person. I really think Genji's a really cool person.
行こうみんな。今は少し風もおとなしいみたいだ。
George took an umbrella and dashed out into the hallway, and Shannon and Goda chased after him, each holding a tool. Alright. After they flew out of the room, Genji quietly extended his hand to the side of the chessboard. He softly pulled something that was there towards himself, and hit it by covering it with his palm. I'm gonna reread that one more time. He softly pulled something that was there towards himself, and hit it by covering it with his palm. Genji killed his breathing even more than before. As he did, something flashed gold. Whoa. From inside an ice pail set on the counter, a small gold butterfly appeared, softly and silently. It was almost as though it had watched George and the rest leave, and was trying to secretly follow them. It happened in an instant. The gold butterfly, elegantly flapping its wings, was pinned against the wall by the knife Genji had thrown, just like a butterfly in a bug collection. Yeah! After the gold butterfly beat its wings several times, looking like it was in pain, it accepted the fact that it couldn't break free, and became a fine gold powder and smoke. My apologies. And disappeared as though dissolving into water. Damn. Genji's gaze was still lowered at the chessboard, as though nothing had happened. Maybe he would think up a brilliant move very soon. But no matter what move he made, his opponent would never be able to respond for all eternity. Even though he knew that, Genji's search for a brilliant move. It must have been the perfect way to kill time, during the short period before some fate would be given to him. He didn't know what result the roulette would bring about, but that decision would be made very soon. No one could interfere with the tumbling roulette ball. Tumbling roulette ball. Alright. The door to the parlor was not only locked, but blocked with a barricade made of sofas and the like. So Auntie Rosa seemed to suspect that if a suspicious person appeared, it would be by breaking the window. Sitting on a one-person sofa, her back to the door, she continued to hold onto her gun. Voiceless. I didn't know what was what anymore, and so my body and mind worn out. I was just playing with Maria, however she wanted. In Maria's words, Beatrice was testing us to see whether we could solve the epitaph of the gold. So we had to challenge this riddle. In the beginning, I had been a little interested and tried to solve it, but I didn't have a clue what those weird paragraphs even meant in the first place. I didn't doubt that there was some riddle hidden there, but I couldn't imagine that I would solve it by chance. In the middle part of the epitaph, there were lines saying to journey to the Golden Land over the course of the 1st to the 10th twilight. On the 1st twilight, sacrifice the 6 chosen by the key. On the 2nd twilight, those who remain shall tear apart the 2 who are close. It was obvious that this hinted at the first 6 murders that had already occurred in the chapel, and Jessica and Kanekun-kun's murders. If this was being followed, we would have to be prepared for yet 5 more people to be killed. On the 4th twilight, gouge the head and kill. On the 5th twilight, gouge the chest and kill. On the 6th twilight, gouge the stomach and kill. On the 7th twilight, gouge the knee and kill. On the 8th twilight, gouge the leg and kill. The bodies of Dr. Nanjo and Kumasawa Bachan had been found. However, if we reasonably assume that they were sacrifices of the 4th and 5th twilights, they would surely be found in a pitiful state, with their head and chest gouged. In which case, could we expect that 3 more would be gouged in the stomach, knee, and leg and be killed? Who would that be? I looked around the room, noticing that there were 3 people here, but how should I say it? My emotions seemed paralyzed. Strangely, I didn't find it terrifying. Maria noticed me, with my upper body entrusted to the sofa, gazing lazily up at the ceiling. Apparently, she felt I was slacking off in my riddle solving. She got mad at me and told me I wasn't being serious enough.
なあ、マリア。ベアトリーチェは確かこれを解いたらどうするって言ってたんだっけ？
I was sure that the witch had written in her letter that she would give up on collecting the entrance, or something abstract like that. I was optimistically taking that to mean that she would give up on killing the whole family. But was it really written with that meaning? I didn't really feel that solving this puzzle would actually save us. I thought that even if we did solve it, that would be doing just what the culprit wanted us to do, and it would all be a wasted effort.
そんなことはない。この碑文が解けたらベアとの儀式はおしまいになる。だからもうそれ以上誰も死ななくなる。
本当にか？そういうルールを奴が提示してるだけだろ。この謎を解けば多分じいさまの隠し黄金のありかがわかるんだろ。奴はきっとそれを狙って。
おお、狙わないよ。
なんでそう断言できるんだよ。
黄金は最初からベアとのものだもん。自分のものを狙ったりなんかしない。
じゃあどうしてベアトは俺たちにこんな大ヒントを授けてくれたんだ？というかどうしてこんなゲームじみたことを仕掛けてきたんだ？
Boredom.
魔法にはリスクが必要なの。
リスク？よく意味がわかんねえな。
例えばマラソン。完走すれば誰でももらえるメダルと一番になった人しかもらえないメダルって同じ価値だと思う？
思わねえぜ。つまりなんだよ。結局奴は遊んでるってことなのか？わざとこっちにチャンスを与えるようなことをして。違う。それがね、魔法というものなの。どんな大きな魔法にも絶対にリスクや弱点があるの。
といけないの？
魔法って言われるとピンとこねえが、ギャンブルだって考えれば少しは理解できるな。でかく失う覚悟がなきゃでかくは勝てない。そして勝ち目の薄いギャンブルであればあるほど配当はでかくなる。
その通りだよ。だからベアとは儀式のリスクをちゃんとみんなに説明したの。だからこの謎を解けばちゃんと儀式は中断される。だってそれを約束違反したらリスクにならない。
これを解けば奴は本当に約束を守るのか。
花は枯れるのにどうして美しいの？造花は見分けがつかないほど精巧でもどうして美しくないの？人間は死を賭すから奇跡が起こせる。不死の人間がいたとしてその人物に何の奇跡も起こせる道理はない。私たちも人生も魔女も儀式も、私たちはリスクを負わなければ何も成し遂げられないの。
謎が解けたらどうするんだ。ピンポーンって鳴らして挙手して回答を魔女に伝えて答え合わせをするのか。
それは知らない。でも解けばきっと自動的に儀式は終わる。
マリアは詳しいな。そいつはみんなベアトリーチェに習ったのか。
So, if you don't bear a risk, nothing can be changed. That is doubtlessly the way of the world. But it was in conflict with the chessboard theory style of thinking that I like. A move in chess is always a search for the best play that minimizes the risk and promises an advantageous turn of events. You don't trust your plays to chance, like in gambling. That's right. There's no room for gambling in an intellectual game. And yet, this person called Beatrice was carrying out such an outrageous crime. Or maybe a ritual. While purposely imposing conditions for her own loss and announcing them to us. In chess, you always play the best move. So, by standing in your opponent's position, you can predict their next move. However, you couldn't say for sure that Beatrice's moves were always the best moves. I thought she was probably making us focus on the epitaph as a smoke screen to mislead us about something. But Maria said that of all things was impossible. She said that this was a genuine risk that the witch had taken, and therefore proof that this was a formal magical ritual. I can't understand this witch called Beatrice. She must be committing this chain of murders with some goal in mind. So why would she deliberately expose the conditions for her own defeat? No matter how I flip over the chessboard and think from my opponent's perspective, I can't understand why she would give up if this riddle was solved. Isn't it almost as though Beatrice doesn't care whether she wins or loses? It's natural that chessboard reasoning wouldn't work if you played chess against an opponent like this. I don't understand. What is Beatrice after that's making her commit this crime? If she just wants to massacre us all, she could just do it secretly, without this whole crazy setup. There was no need for that scrupulous advance notice, dramatic suggestions of locked rooms, or anything. It's all over dramatized. I don't get the point at all. As long as I continue to think of Beatrice as a greedy human culprit, will I be unable to understand anything? If I don't accept her as a witch, will I be unable to even set the pieces on the chessboard at all? If she really is a witch, and everything Maria said is true, then there's only one thing we should have been doing. We shouldn't have bothered with any of the reasoning, or the discord, or the searching for the culprit. We should have all gathered in the dining hall and pooled our knowledge to solve the riddle. If we had pooled the knowledge of that many people, maybe we would have been able to at least grasp a thread of the answer. We greedy humans desiring to gain something more than one another never pooled our knowledge, and were being offered up as sacrifices one by one. In the end, were we humans getting what we deserved? We thought we were thinking, but we were actually thinking only of our greedy selves. And in the end, chessboard theory is a technique of thinking where you project yourself on your opponent. So greedy people look inside their opponents and see their greedy selves. I look vaguely at Auntie Rosa. She was probably tired from being under all this tension the whole time. She wasn't sleeping, but she was continually staring vaguely at some point off in space. Auntie Rosa had proclaimed that she couldn't trust anyone who had not been killed. Auntie Rosa's chessboard thinking saw herself inside her opponent. In other words, Auntie Rosa might be an isolated woman, unable to trust anyone and unable to let her guard down. Long ago, I think I heard a bit about it from my dad. Auntie Rosa had originally been a very obedient child, but because her age was so far separated from her other siblings, and because her confrontational siblings had often made conflicting demands of her, she had been going through psychological hardship ever since she was young. Apparently, when she had taken the side of one sibling, often another gave her a hard time for it. Certainly, Auntie Rosa had said many things today that could be taken as abusive language. But those are words that have been engraved into her vocabulary because they have been showered upon her as well. The many abusive words that she had spoken were also the same abuse that Auntie Rosa had been showered with in the past. Now that I think about it, I have the feeling that her style of speech today has had occasional traces of Uncle Klaus and Auntie Ava in it. I'd assume the similarity came from being siblings, but maybe that wasn't the case. For the first time, I was able to sympathize from my heart with Auntie Rosa, who I had come to think of as being only gentle. Then what about Maria? Maria had been claiming something for a while. If we could solve the riddle that the witch had presented to us, the ritual would be halted, and we would definitely be saved. And I think she also said that Beatrice would never break a promise she made. So that describes Maria herself. She's the one with the most innocent heart, who would never break a promise. So she believed that Beatrice wouldn't break a promise either. She could believe that. But wasn't that just an image of Beatrice that Maria imagined? There's still proof that the real Beatrice definitely keeps her promises, right?
わらわは約束は守る。
Okay, I was not expecting that you would interrupt right here, Beatrice.
気分の謎を解けば黄金鏡へ至ることができるだろう。さすれば儀式は終わる。それ以上誰も死にはせぬ。
お前みたいな外道の極みがルールを遵守するってのかよ。
わらわが残忍で卑劣で外道であることを否定はせぬ。だがわらわは魔女だ。魔法を使う。魔法を使うには守らねばならぬルールがある。わらわは魔女だからこそそれをないがしろにできぬのだ。それだけは信じるがよい。
これだけめちゃくちゃやってきて、それでもルールだけは信じろってのかよ。
わらわはたぶらかしはする。もちろん人も騙す。人間と変わらぬ。だが、約束として口にしたことを保護にしたことは一度もない。
But you're careful with your wording, I bet. She did some careful wording with Maria. So she did make a promise, but she carefully worded the promise so that she could do something nefarious, but still keep up with the promise.
人間はどうか。約束を必ず守るのか？
約束を守ろうなんてキャッチフレーズがある以上、ちゃんと履行されてるかどうかは疑わしいな。
わらわから見れば人間の方がよっぽど利己的で下道な存在よ。人間の約束ほど疑わしいものはない。わらわも時に人間と契約するが、くだらない願い一つ叶えるのにどれほど厳重に取り決めをするか想像もつくまい。少しでも隙があると連中はすぐに叶える願いの数を100に増やせとか、小さな豆粒に変身してみろとか言い出す。
親父によく言われたぜ。契約書ほど怖えもんはねえって。よく読まずにハンコを押すやつは骨の髄まで喋られて当然だって言ってたぜ。
I mean, that is very true. That is very true. That's why I'm always afraid of contracts myself. Because if I ever were to do like a business contract with anything, I'll just read that shit like 1,000 times before even thinking about signing it. That's actually a truthful statement. If you ever have to sign a contract, read every word several times. Even get a lawyer to read it as well. Because contracts are a scary as fuck thing.
悪徳で荒稼ぎしてやがったんだな。
察しろ。人は生まれながらに詐欺を知りはせぬ。どこかで被った。だから覚えた。押し付け合わずにはいられぬ人の世の罪か。はて、どこの魔女に聞いたやら。まあいい。そなたが思っているほどわらわも無慈悲ではないぞ。
嘘をつけ。これだけの大勢を、しかもまたこんな残酷な方法で殺しておいて何が無慈悲ではないだ。約束は守るだと。 いい加減なことを言うな。俺はお前を認めない。断じてそれを譲らないことだけがお前への抵抗だと俺は信じてる。
なるほど。永遠の苛波であるのはわらわに対しても同じであるというわけか。かもしれぬな。1000年は長い。魔女の強さは魔力より我慢強さで決まるのかもしれんな。なるほど。ベルン教の恐ろしさもうなずける。
何をわけのわかんねえ話をブツブツ言ってやがる。さっさと永遠の苛波とやらを続けろよ。俺は1000年でも1万年でも付き合う覚悟だぜ。
Are you certain? Because your family's gonna keep on getting killed over and over again if you do that, Battler.
よいよい。少しは戦う気力も戻ってきたようだな。そうでなければつまらない。ほら、対戦ゲームでもよくあるだろ？乱入したけど、相手があまりに弱くて拍子抜けで、わざと負けて最終ラウンドまで延長させて、最後に本気でフルボッコにすることとかってあるだろ？
例えの意味がわかんねえよ。
ワインと同じよ。よく熟成させねば輝かぬ。
How was I able to understand that a lot more than the video game one? I barely even drink wine.
お前はそれに耐えられるワインだ。わらわがじっくり熟成させてやる。そなたをわらわの優雅な時間を彩る最高の美酒に育て上げてやるぞ。だからこの程度で屈服などするな。わらわを引き続き否定してくれよ。何しろわらわはそなたが認めぬ限り儚き幻想に過ぎぬのだから。
No comment. That laugh always makes me like gets me to jump a little bit. That fucking laugh. Jesus, how can you make that noise? I don't even know how you can make that noise from your mouth. Oh. Goda! They got into the chapel.
何度見ても辛いな。
教中お察しします。シャノンさん、鍵を頼みます。お亡くなりになられたとはいえ奥様はレディーです。私には触れることができません。
はい。
Shannon nodded sharply, her expression filled with a sense of duty. George, Goda, and Shannon have broken a suitable window and were inside the chapel. Since they really hadn't wanted to break one, they had searched for another way in just in case. But in the end, that only proved once again that there was nowhere that anyone could slip in through. And emphasized further how inscrutable was the chapel's locked room. Inside the chapel, time had stopped since they had left it earlier. Of course, even George could not approach that horrible Halloween party again. It was only natural, because it made him remember again the sadness of losing both of his parents at once. And Goda, thinking of the possibility that their bodies might have changed in some horrible way now that half of a day had passed, didn't want to let George approach. Shannon followed Goda's instructions and approached the party table. Normally, Shannon might have resented having another dirty job forced on her. But now, she could truly understand Goda's mental state. Despite Goda's prodigious. Despite Goda's prodigious skill, he had gotten into trouble, lost his job, and had been left out in the streets. And then Natsui had given him a new life. Even though it had just been a casual employment for Natsui, Goda must have felt that it was a turning point in his fate. Those around Goda could see that he felt a special kind of loyalty to Natsui. So he probably didn't want to lose that feeling, even though she was dead. Now that half a day had passed, the bodies of Natsui and the rest had changed completely. Small bugs that had sniffed out the smell of death had started to gather. It really wasn't something you could look at directly. Don't have the body grab her, it's going into her pocket. Don't have that happen. Because of her long experience as a servant, Shannon had an idea of which pocket Natsui had kept the key to her room in. Probably in this pocket. Her guess didn't fail her. Just by touching the outside of the pocket, she was immediately able to feel it. Shannon held the key up high, showing the others that it had been found. As George and Goda watched her, their eyes opened wide. That wasn't the expression Shannon was expecting, so it stalled at her. No! Are the bodies going up? Oh no, are the bodies waking up? Beatrice, no! Butterflies! Red Dread Redemption. Because Shannon hadn't noticed, George and Goda, watching from afar, had been able to notice it first. But because when Shannon had held the key up high, a blizzard of gold leaf had built up from around the table. They were countless gold butterflies. Because it was the first time George had seen them, to him, they might have looked fantastical. But Goda already knew. He knew that those gold butterflies, far from being beautiful, held sway over something disastrous. And that gold swelled, trying to suck Shannon in.
Shannon-san! 走って!
Shannon also realized that she was about to be swallowed up by gold butterflies. She ran unsteadily, her expression still shocked. As she did, the gold butterflies danced around Shannon in unison. They grouped together. They tried to swallow her up!
Shannon! クソ、なんだこれは。これが君たちの言っていた黄金の蝶なのか。
早く外へ。こいつらめ。クソ、クソ。
George and Goda rushed up to Shannon, driving off the group of butterflies. And while the butterflies were scattered, they ran towards the broken window. However, they needed good footing to get out the window, which was surrounded with shards of broken glass. When they had entered, there had been enough to prepare for that, but now there was none.
扉から出よう。足場を探してる時間なんかない。
開かない。硬い。
貸して。くそ、このオンボロが。
ジョージ様、お早く。くそ。 そうダメだな。
Gota took off his jacket, swinging it around and scattering the group of butterflies. But he was vastly outnumbered. It was doubtful that he even bought them a short amount of time. George struggled with a virtually broken handle. Its age showed, and it didn't turn well. Brute force alone won't do it. It needs the right angle or some trick.
ジョージ様、くそー、この化け物どもが。
Just then, Gota saw it. He was seen by it. In other words, their eyes met. On top of the party table. No, floating above it. Backed by a stained glass window. Laughing. The figure of the witch. He saw the figure of the witch, laughing in the center of the gold whirlwind, allowing the gold butterflies to attend to her whims. Beatrice!
Beatrice.
It should have been Gota's first meeting with her, but he knew her at a glance. Just like the other servants had said, this was certainly the witch of the portrait herself!
Soろ晩餐の時間ではないか。すでにわらわはこの屋敷のホストである。そなたらを素晴らしきディナーで歓待しなくてはならぬというもの。おあつらえ向きに3人ではないか。
Oh, they're gonna be the next three Starlights!
これは実に好都合。
Whoa. World End Dominator.
ゴーダさん、早く。ベアトリーチェ様。
足を止めてもら
Oh my god!
ここがそなたらの墓場にふさわしいというなら、それもよかろうぞ。かつての主の傍らにて死後も仕えたいというその心意気はたたえようぞ。
The golden whirlwind is shrouding the witch first. It was like an evil hand had literally spread its fingers and was trying to attack them. The group of gold butterflies attacked with a whoosh sound.
急ぐんだ。足を止めちゃいけない。
George's voice brought Shannon and Gota back to themselves. Standing here now would be the same as a frog being stared down by a snake. They had to resist. They had to fight this incarnation of the new, brutal, and frightening order that had enveloped Rokenjima. There was no time to take out their umbrellas. The three of them dashed out into the pouring rain. They never realized because they didn't turn around. But the gold butterflies apparently couldn't handle the rain too well, and this hampered their ability to chase after the three. The three people ran from their golden pursuers and flew into the mansion.
愉快。こうでなくては面白くない。
They unlocked the door and flew into the room. A bit of the scent from Natsumi's favorite gentle incense remained in the room. However, there was no time to let that calm them now.
どこにあるんだ。宝物箱の中って言ったっけ。
話に聞いただけです。実際にどこにあるかまでは。
多分お化粧台かベッドの脇にあるんじゃないかと思います。
Shannon claimed that because of her woman's sense. But in the corner by the bed, there was only an incense burner, a half-read novel, and a pair of glasses. But the dresser was elegant and had many drawers, and it would be understandable if she had kept some of her valuables there.
夏日おばさん、ごめん。
He began to violently open each one of the drawers. He had to hurry. He couldn't actually hear footsteps, but he had the feeling that the witch was approaching. He had the feeling that her laugh was approaching. He pulled out the drawers one by one and examined their contents. Every small box for makeup that looked like a treasure box, and the amount of effort it would take to expect all of them made him feel a little dizzy.
この箱かもしれません。鍵がかかってて開きません。
At a glance, it looked slightly larger than a music box. When shaken, it rustled, as though various small objects were inside. But it was locked and wouldn't open.
普通、鍵はすぐ近くに隠しておくものです。あるいは常に身につけている人もいるかも。わからない、わからない。
やむを得ない。壊そう。でも乱暴にはできないね。中の鏡を割ってしまうかもしれない。こじ開ける道具はないかな。そう。
Goda looked all over the room, trying to see if there was some tool that they could use. And he noticed the door, which had been left open ever since they had entered. He approached the door to close it, and noticed a bottomless shadows of people approaching from beyond the darkness in the hall. No, the phrase shadows of people wasn't right, because that refers to human shadows. You can't call the shadows of beings that are human shadows of people.
ジョージ様、急い。
Goda's voice trailed off. It was the shock from seeing a procession of those not of this world. He was a servant, so he knew all of the servants that worked for the Ushiyamiya family. But he didn't know about these. However, they were definitely servants. They weren't servants working for Ushiyamiya Kenzo or Ushiyamiya class. Oh! Oh, Jesus! Oh, God! That's not good! Oh, Jesus! There's more than one of them! There's 3 of them! And damn, they're thick! There were new servants who worked for the new master of the mansion, the Golden Witch, Beatrice, and who had goats' heads and bright red bull eyes of lava. Oh no! As the new master laughed loudly and trimly directed the 6 of the new servants. 6? There's 6 of them! He saw her pierce the darkness as she came. Of course, she was clad in gold butterflies. That were her symbol. Goda hurriedly closed the door and locked it. However, the instant he locked it, it returned to normal, just as though it had been knocked back by a spring or something. It almost gave the illusion that some prankster on the other side of the door was opening it every time he closed it. Distance-wise, they shouldn't have reached the other side of the door yet. How? It felt just like playing with a broken toy. Click, boing. Click, boing.
閉まらない。閉めても開いてしまう。どうなってんだこりゃ。クソクソクソクソ。
鍵がわらわを拒むと思うか。その部屋の新しき主をその部屋の扉が拒むと思うのか。
It was like the witch could see Goda's frantic effort through the door. Even as he struggled, their footsteps continued to approach. And when not just footsteps, but their breath could be heard too. Oh, but their breath too could be heard. That's what I meant to say, yeah. Goda gave up on the lock and rammed the door with his shoulder, making the lock his own large body.
ジョージ様早く早く早く
ジョージ様、これはどうでしょう。
レターオープナーか。そっちの方がいいね。貸して。万年筆じゃうまくいかない。
George took it, and once again, dug into the crack under the lid of the treasure box. It looks like it's working!
早く早く
Come on, George! The pressure from across the door grew even stronger. Goda screamed. It wasn't a war cry for this test of strength. He was terrified. He was simply terrified that, except for a single wooden door, he would be touching something not of this world. But he was still lucky. He wasn't touching them directly, because they were on the other side of the door. So it was natural that if he did touch them directly, Goda's cry would turn from something brave into a shameful, and yet very real scream that would make glass shatter. Goda couldn't believe what was right before his eyes. Going through the door, an arm, almost as though it was sticking through the surface of water, slipped through, as though it was perfectly natural, and stroked the back of Goda's hand as he tried to desperately hold the door closed. It traced slowly up his arm to his chest, and then his chin. By now, Goda's scream was not even vocalized. He could hear a sweet whispering voice from across the door. It wasn't coming from the witch, but by the sound of the voice, judging by the sound of the voice, it was a young woman. But there was no difference in the fact that it was a voice from one not of this world. Beelzebub!
かわいい。ねえ、見てるの相馬と。教えてね。終わったら。
Is she wearing an Angel Mart uniform?
ありがとう。もう終わってるのね。
Wait, what? No! Goda! No! No! Goda! That obscene arm burst apart. And they heard the sound of something jumping around the room at an incredible speed. They didn't know what it was. Incredibly fast, small, like steel or maybe a beetle. When it when it buried itself right in the center of Goda's chest and stopped, for the first time, they realized that its true form was something like a stake with a strange design on it. No! Goda's large body shook, bent backwards, and fell over. As it did, the door opened softly, even though no one was pushing it, and the new masters of this room were welcomed in. It looked almost as though the door itself had accepted them. Oh shit! Oh shit! George and Shannon are fucked! Ah! The goat attendants entered one after another, 6 of them. Then that witch appeared, and the gold butterflies entered. The room was warped in a blizzard of gold leaves, which fell and piled up, turning it into a world of gold.
シャノン、ルーレットはそなたとジョージを選んだ。解放の日に感謝せよ。未練はあるまい？ないよな。惚れた男から婚約指輪をもらって夜も共にしないうちに殺されてしまっても未練なんかないよな。女の幸せを教えてもらいたかったんだろう。ああ、シャーノン、ダメダメ、垂れてるぜ、お前の口元から未練が。
You're having a lot of fun, Beatrice.
だらだら垂れてんのが見えるぜ、シャーノン。
I love her mocking voice. I just love the tone she makes whenever she says a character's name sometimes. I would love to be in the recording studio when they filmed her lines. I would have loved to be in the recording studio. Crack! It was the sound of the lid to the treasure box breaking and opening. When George turned it over, out fell accessories, charms, various small objects that Natsui had treasured when she was a girl. Mixed in with those was a pouch that stood out from the rest. He picked it up and checked it immediately. This was it.
見つけた、これだ。
いいって及ばなかったの。死ね。
くそ。
All at once, the gold butterflies attacked George, who was painfully slowly trying to remove the contents of the pouch. Shannon? Shannon's gonna have a blade like Cannon did. Scorpion guts. Just did. It seemed like, for just an instant, a bright red flash lit up the room. That red flash seemed to wipe out the gold butterflies that were raging around the room, within a circle drawn with Shannon at the center. Therefore, it was a very divine scene. Almost as though a single streak of light had cut through the clouds in the ceiling, in this world of gold. George, who was curled up in a ball trying to protect himself from the group of butterflies, didn't have a clue what had occurred. Yeah! Then, he noticed Shannon was blocking the way to him, shielding him. With a serious face that she had never shown him before, as she glared at the rich and the rest. Damn!
忘れていた。そなたもまた金蔵の優れた家具だったな。それもカノンよりだいぶ熟成した。
カノン君をよくも殺したことじゃない。よくも亡骸を消し去り、その名誉まで汚そうとしたな。
おやおや、シャーノン、それ怒ってるのか？カノンに会えなくて寂しいならわらわに頼めよ。いつだって会わせてやるというのに。
When the witch snapped her fingers, one of the 6 goat attendants glittered gold and changed into Cannon. It was definitely a sight to make one doubt their eyes. It was definitely Cannon's face. The eyes are red. However, in those eyes, there was none of that sincere glint of Cannon's. There were only the clouded eyes of furniture that did nothing but obey the orders of the witch. George couldn't understand the scene right before his eyes. And he finally understood why Goda and the rest had been unable to talk about what they had seen in the servant room.
楽しいですか？
ああ、楽しいぞ。仕 が引き裂いた二人を再会させるのはいつだって楽しい。死で引き裂いて一度、合わせて二度、もう一度引き裂いて三度楽しめるのだからな。さあカノン、姉と遊んでやりなさい。もし痛めつけられたら思いっきり苦悶の表情を浮かべてやるといい。
From the imposter Cannon's arm, a strangely shining trail had extended. It planned to tear Shannon apart with that. Shannon, who still hadn't prepared her heart, apart with a single stroke.
許さない。一度ならず二度までも死者を汚すなんて許せない。
ほざくな。弟に殺されろよ、シャーノン。きっといい夢が見られるぜ。
As the imposter Cannon drew several purple trails, he definitely had attacked Shannon. But when he flew at Shannon, it felt like some kind of invisible wall had been set up in front of her. A bright red purple trail was left on the wall, and it repelled the imposter. No, it didn't repel him, it smashed him. It knocked him back, turning him to gold dust, into pieces, scattering him. The figure of the foolish furniture, who had mocked Cannon's form and even disgraced his honor after his death, broke into countless gold butterflies. And then those butterflies themselves broke into pieces, and those pieces were broken down into pieces, until they were no longer butterflies, but a spray of gold and disappeared.
シャノン。
ジョージさんはそこから動かないでください。中心軸をずらしたくない。
これは驚いた。
What was that face, Beatrice?
虫一匹殺せない面をしてこれだけの力を見せたか。なるほど、霊境がそなたに力を貸しているというのか。しかしその霊境の本当の力を引き出すには準備も時間も足りないな。そのどちらもわらわは与えはせぬ。
The spirit mirror George gripped was letting out a divine radiance and displaying its strength not to submit to wicked power. But that radiance was no match for the witch's sinister nature.
これだから家具は怖い。予期せずしてタンスの角にぶつける足の小指のような気持ちよ。これだから家具は怖い。家具だ。家具。
私は家具じゃない。そしてあなたを今はとても哀れに思う。
何？ほう。1000年の魔女に100年も至らぬ家具が今何と言ったか。
あなたはとても哀れな人。愛し合う二人に未練がないわけがない。でもあなたの期待するような未練はかけらほどもない。
語るか、家具の分際で。ジョージと結ばれたくてわらわの靴を舐めた日々を忘れてわらわにそれを語るか。
愛に生き泥濘を這うが人間。 嘲笑い見下しているつもりで、あなたはそれにはるかに劣る。私は今こそあなたを哀れに思う。愛し合う二人にとって添い遂げることにどれほどの意味が。意味はある、きっとある。でもそれはあなたの言うこととは全然違う。もっと新鮮にして、あなたごとき邪悪が口にする資格もないほどの新鮮な意味がある。だから私にはすでに何の未練もない。ジョージさんと愛を誓い合った。その証として指輪を受け取った。それで永遠の誓いは完了した。あなたがどんな邪悪な魔法や悪意で私たちを災難だとしても、永遠は汚さない。
綺麗事を詩人のように語るな。
Moon.
愛は情欲なんだよ。少女漫画みたく綺麗事ばっかりで語れねえんだよ。男どもはお前の匂いに惹かれて群がるウジバエどもなんだよ。そんなこともその年でまだ理解できねえのかよ。お前は失望するぜ。その後ろのメガネ男のどす黒い欲望、一度でも覗いちまったら。
Glasses man.
がっかり愕然唖然呆然、全然ダメだぜ、シャーノン。
Taking a page from Battler, Beatrice? Holy shit! I love that face, by the way. I love it. Holy shit!
ああ、もういいや、語るな家具が。この家具。何様のつもりだよ、語りやがって。愛なんて結局はど汚ねえ汚物をどう綺麗に見せようかって欺瞞なんだよ。そいつに気づいて人は大人になるんだろう。死ねよクズ。家具スクラップ。お前を汚らわしいウジ虫に変えてやるよ。それでもそのメガネがお前を愛するか試してやるよ。そいつの愛のどぎたねえ現実ってやつを教えてやるよ。死ねよガラクタが。てめえが愛を語るんじゃねえ。
The invisible column of light, with Shannon at the center, started to have bright red ripples drawn all over it at once. The wall did its best to withstand the invisible mouse that was trying to corrode it from all directions.
なんだよそれは。抵抗してるつもりかよ。安っぽいんだよ、薄っぺらいんだよ。お前の綺麗事と同じなんだよ、見せかけだけの薄っぺら。見たくないものをベールで覆って隠してるだけなんだよ。まだわかんないのかよ。だから家具なんだよ、家具。ほら削られてるぜ。カリカリコリコリガリガリゴリゴリなんて薄くて情けないんだよ。お前のその薄っぺらな抵抗に比べたらパルミジャーノレッジの方がまだ削るのに苦労がいるぜ。
I'm still being honest here. I would have loved to be in the recording studio as they were recording Beatrice's lines. I want to be there. Man, I wish I was there when they recorded these lines because holy shit, this is awesome. The voice acting right now, fucking amazing. I wish I could have seen the voice actress herself do these lines in the studio. I just wanted to see how it was done, because this is awesome! The golden windstorm that covered the room gradually shaved away the walls of the column that protected Shannon and George. The bright red ripples frantically drew a pattern of resistance, but the wall was beginning to envelop the two, becoming instead a red wall of despair.
庄司さん、ごめんなさい。やはり私には無理でした。
ありがとう。君は僕のために戦ってくれた。それだけで嬉しいよ。
Whoa, I like the effects here. Oh, wow. As the column that had once protected them was assaulted and covered with a trail of blood-curdling red ripples, it contracted and began to suck the two of them up instead. Whoa. Shannon grasps George's hand behind her. So George hugged her shoulders just as strongly.
なんで
最後に愛してるって聞かせてください。
Don't kill him before he says it.
さよ。僕は君を永遠に。
And they're dead. Wow. Good timing for a glass break. Umineko no Nakukura ni. 9 o'clock. So there's only 5 that remain. Only 5 people remain now. Surrender. Well, this doesn't look good for Battler. That doesn't look good for Battler. Oh, man. Alright, Okay. This is where I'm gonna save right here, right now. Wow. That was a good episode. That was a good episode. I'm gonna admit this now. I liked it. Holy crap. I mean, good chapter. Not episode, chapter. That was an amazing chapter. That was awesome. Okay. I guess someone's at my door. Okay. Wait, what? No! Coda! I won't go into details what happened, but people heard me the whole time. I'm an idiot. Okay. I'm ending this video now. I'm ending this video in shame, and I'm just gonna take a long shower now. I'm taking a long shower.
Okay.